Hello everyone, welcome to APTI Plus Academy for Civil Services. So we are going to start the weekly current affairs sessions, 30 topics in 30 minutes. So let's get started. Here we are going to discuss the topics that appeared in the last week of November, and the first topic here is India re-elected to the International Maritime Organization Council. So India got re-elected to the International Maritime Organization Council, okay, by the highest number of votes. So here we need to know what is the International Maritime Organization particularly. Basically, it is a specialized organization. It is a specialized agency of the United Nations, okay, and it regulates the maritime transport, and it was established following a UN conference that was held in Geneva in the year 1948. All right, and this did not come into force for 10 years, and then later on the first assembly happened in the year 1959. This particular organization is headquartered in London, United Kingdom, and it has 176 states and 3 associated members as of 2025. Now, what is the mandate? Okay, what is the function? So basically it ensures safe, secure, efficient and environmental friendly shipping with uniform global standards. That is the mandate of IMO. Basically, its purpose is to develop and maintain a comprehensive regulatory framework for shipping and its remit, which includes maritime safety, environmental concerns, as well as legal matters. Okay. Please note that it is governed by an assembly of members which meets every 2 years. Okay, and its finance and organization is administered by a council of 40 members elected from the assembly that I mentioned a few moments ago. Now, India got re-elected to this particular council which I was talking about. Okay, this particular council of the IMO, it frames conventions, okay, it regulates the design of the ship, the construction, the operation and the disposal. It further sets norms to prevent marine and air pollution, and it oversees global standards for seafarer training and certification. And of course, it tries to align with the Sustainable Development Goal of 14, and it promotes sustainable maritime transport. Recently, Black Sea was in news. So here we'll learn about Black Sea from prelims point of view. So basically, Black Sea is a large inland sea, and it is linked to the Mediterranean Sea through multiple straits, as you can see in this map. And it is known for stratified waters because it has deep layers that are anoxic, no oxygen, and it is filled with hydrogen sulfide. Okay, it also has a dead zone. Now, if we talk about the location of Black Sea, as you can see in this map, it is situated at the southeastern edge of Europe. Okay, and it lies between Eastern Europe, South Caucasus, and Anatolia. The countries that are surrounding the Black Sea are basically, it is bordered by Ukraine, okay, Russia, Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria and Romania. It is connected to the Mediterranean Sea versus the Bosporus Strait. Okay, further Bosporus is connected to the Sea of Marmara, okay, which is connected to the Dardanelles Strait and then the Aegean Sea. So that is the route. Okay, it has a maximum depth of 2210 meters. This is not important, and the upper layers are oxygenated and it is biologically rich, but some of the deeper layers are anoxic in nature and is filled with hydrogen sulfide. This you need to remember. Also, please remember that Black Sea is an geological remnant. It is a leftover of the ancient Tethys Sea, and the northern shores of the Black Sea have cold steppe climate, and the southern coasts are humid and subtropical in terms of climate. Madhavacharya was in news. Recently, Prime Minister Modi, he unveiled a bronze statue of Lord Ram at a place in Goa, and during his visit to Udupi, he recalled the spiritual heritage of the region and legacy of Jagat Guru Madhavacharya. Now, who was Madhavacharya? He was a 13th century philosopher, okay, a 13th century philosopher, and he was the founder of Dvait Vedanta. Very important to note. It is also referred to as dualism, and he is traditionally regarded as the reincarnation of Vayu. This is not important, of course, from exam point of view, but he advocated a strong theistic, realistic interpretation of the Vedanta. Now, what is dualism? So, Advait Vedanta is a major school of Hindu philosophy. Of course, it emphasizes what? Non-duality. Basically, it asserts that the individual soul, that is the Atma, is identical to the ultimate reality, which is Brahman. Okay, it is identical to Brahman, and the perceived world, whatever we are seeing and we are like perceiving over here, is nothing but illusion or Maya. Okay, so the Atma or individual soul is identical to the ultimate reality, which is Brahman, and the perceived world is an illusion. Okay. So this was propagated by Adi Shankara, and its goal is, of course, moksha or liberation, self-realization, direct knowledge. That is that one is singular, okay, which is universal consciousness, experiencing itself through infinite forms and various things, okay. And it also uses the concepts of various other like things that like explain the apparent reality, which focuses on realizing what is one's true nature as pure existence, knowledge, bliss, etc. Okay, so that is the crux of Advait Vedanta. Now, if we talk about Dvait Vedanta, here we are talking about what? Dvait Vedanta. It is another school. So we discussed Vedanta, Advait Vedanta, so that we can understand what is Dvait Vedanta. Dvait Vedanta is something which was propagated by Madhavacharya. Okay, so it is a sub school of the Vedanta again. Okay, and it was founded by, as mentioned earlier, Madhavacharya. He believed in three entities: God, Jeev, soul, and Maya, matter or Jada. So Dvaita Vedanta believes that God and individual souls, that is the Jivatma, they exist as distinct realities. In Advait, what happened? They are like are part of the same thing. Okay, the ultimate consciousness. But here it is saying these are like distinct. That is the crux of Dvaita Vedanta. And these individual souls are dependent on Vishnu, and who alone is independent, Swatantra. Now, Dvait school, it contrasts, as mentioned earlier, two major sub-schools of Vedanta. One is Advait Vedanta, which was by Adi Shankaracharya. Okay, he posited what? Non-dualism. And if we talk about the Vishishta Advait of Ramanuja, that is another school, which basically says that qualified non-dualism is the one that is correct, which means that the ultimate reality of the Brahman and the human soul, they are different, but with the potential to be identical. They can be one. Okay, and of course, these are the various philosophies of the Hindu schools. Now here we were talking about Dvait Vedanta. Now, as Dvait Vedanta believes that God and individual souls, they are distinct realities. Now, what are the things that he promoted? Basically, he stressed what? Bhakti over Gyan for liberation. Okay, perception, inference, scriptural testimony. These are the things that he emphasized upon, and of course he promoted a lot, contributed a lot towards Bhakti movement, because he promoted what? The personal devotion of Vishnu, daily remembrance. Okay, and he opposed the Advait's non-dualism, and he that interacted with Shankara and Ramanuj traditions, and then he also wrote like around 37 Sanskrit words, okay, and there were like commentaries on Gita, Brahma Sutras, then Upanishads and Bhagavad. So these are the things that are related to Dvait Vedanta. Moving to the next topic, S500. Of course, Putin visited India, and S500 was in news. Apart from this, some other weapons and other defense equipments were also in news. If we talk about the S500 missile system, basically, it is a Russian surface to air. Very important to note that it is a surface to air. Okay, surface to air missile, anti-ballistic missile system. What do you mean by anti-ballistic missile system? Basically, a surface to air missile which is designed to destroy in-flight ballistic missiles. Okay, and what is a ballistic missile? That follows a ballistic trajectory. We have studied this multiple times in previous sessions. Now, these ballistic missiles are of different types, like the short range ballistic missiles, okay, that typically stays within the Earth's atmosphere. And then there is the intercontinental ballistic missile, of course, that can be like fired from one continent and that can reach the another continent. So these are the various types of missiles. Now, if we talk about S500, if we go back to S500 now, S500 has a lot of features, as mentioned earlier, okay, but it is a system that will definitely supplement the S400 missile, and S500 is developed by the Almaz Ante air defense concern of Russia, and it has a lot of capabilities. For example, it can intercept all types of modern hypersonic weapons. Very important to note. Okay, and it is also planning to prepare the S-550 missile, if we talk about particularly. Now, if we talk about the range of S-500, it would be 600 kilometers. Okay, it has near space capability because it can intercept till an altitude of what, 200 kilometers. It has hypersonic interceptors Mach 5 to 7. Okay, so what is Mach? So Mach number is basically, it is a dimensionless quantity in fluid dynamics. Okay, it basically represents the ratio of flow velocity past a boundary to the local speed of sound. It is of course named after a physicist whose name was a physicist as well as philosopher, Mach number. Now it allows us basically to define the flight regimes. So if we talk about the Mach speed, it is a measurement of an object's speed relative to the speed of sound. So the speed of sound and speed of a particular missile. If we compare these two things, so Mach 1 is the speed of sound, okay, which is 767 miles per hour. Okay, now if Mach 1 is the speed of sound, so Mach 2 means what? It would be twice the speed of sound. Okay, and speeds below Mach 1, these are referred to as subsonic. Please read these concepts whenever you are studying, otherwise, like, without understanding, if you try to remember, you'll forget everything. Okay, and speeds that are like above 1, okay, for example twice the speed of sound, those kind of missiles are referred to as what? Supersonic. Very simple. So the speed of sound changes with temperature and altitude. That is very important, we all know that. So Mach speed is always related to the specific conditions. Okay, it is always related to the, depends upon the conditions. Okay, so depending upon temperature, altitude, etc. So that is the basic thing about Mach. Apart from that, it has drones. If we talk about the S-500, it has drones. Okay, then it has a number of radars that can detect threats up to 800 kilometers. Very important to note. It has stealth assets. Okay, so very stealthily it can move, and the response time is 3 to 4 seconds, which is like twice as quick as S-400. It takes 8 to 10 seconds, and within 3 to 4 seconds S-500 responds. Okay, and it is highly mobile because it can be launched from all types of vehicles, like launch vehicles. So if we compare with S-400, it has 600 kilometers. S-400 had 380 kilometers. Altitude up to 200 kilometers. Hypersonic interception is fully capable. Okay, in this case it was limited in case of S-400. It has satellite kill capability. It has its response time we had discussed, and multi-radar system is also there. So of course it would boost India's layered air defense architecture. If we get the S-500, it strengthens India's defense system against China's hypersonic systems as well, and Pakistan's ballistic missile systems as well, and it provides anti-space capability because it places India among the select group of nations which has this particular technology. Recently, Operation Sagar Bandhu was launched by India to deliver urgent humanitarian aid to Sri Lanka after cyclone Ditwa. So, from prelims perspective, all you need to know is what is Operation Sagar Bandhu. Of course, a humanitarian thing, okay, aid to Sri Lanka after the cyclone Ditwa. Now, of course, there was a humanitarian like assistance disaster relief mission, and it was launched by India, and it was coordinated by the Ministry of External Affairs, the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, etc. Of course, we are delivering relief supplies, and this is part of India's Neighborhood First and Vision Mahasagar framework. Okay, so this is all you need to know about this particular thing. Now, India has released the revised earthquake design code. It is a radically updated like seismic zonation map. It is under the earthquake design code of 2025. So you need to know the provisions under this because it places the entire Himalayan arc in the newly created category, which is referred to as highest risk zone, zone 6, for the very first time. So seismic zonation map, of course, it is a scientific classification of regions that is based on earthquake hazard potential, and it is issued by the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS. Okay, and it is under the revised international standards also. It uses probabilistic seismic hazard assessment. So which are the zones that are probably like highly seismic in nature. So new highest risk zone is 6, very important to note. Entire Himalayan arc from Jammu and Kashmir to Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh has been placed in zone 6, and it recognizes extreme tectonic stress. This is along the India-Eurasian plate boundary. And if we note that 61% of India is in moderate to high hazard zones, which is a major rise from old estimates because of the past like epicenters. And now it uses modeling of fault segments, locked zones, rupture potential. These are the various parameters that are like has been considered this time to make the new announcements. Please note that at this time the cities which are on the boundaries of two zones, they automatically fall in the higher risk zone, and there is a shift from like administrative boundaries to geological realities this time. And the Himalayan frontal thrust, it has been extended into the foothill cities like Dehradun. Okay, these places have also been put into the high risk zones. And there's of course like advanced soil and ground response requirements this time, because investigations would be like geotechnical in nature. Okay, and after that only there will be any sort of construction in these zones. So of course there are certain other parameters. For example, it considers population density, infrastructure concentration, socioeconomic vulnerability, etc. So all these things are considered. Okay, and then integrates into impact based planning and geological like hazard. We all know what happened in Manali and the cloudburst that happened in the northern part of the country in the past few years. So much of damage and so much of construction in the zones without any scientific analysis. And despite of the fact that we had some seismic zones, we faced these things. So of course it was a major boost in the design code this time, because the constructions of the various like buildings and the roads, everything will be dependent on the analysis and the investigations that go on following this code pertaining to seismicity this time. Quick coverage of the topic: Blind Women's T20 World Cup 2025. So, of course, this was the first Blind Women's T20 World Cup 2025, and in the finals, India defeated Nepal to become the world's first ever global T20 champion. And this is exclusively for women cricketers with visual impairment, and it was organized by the World Blind Cricket Limited with India and Sri Lanka this time. And the hosts were India and Sri Lanka. It had 6 teams like India, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Australia and US. And there were specialized equipments and some certain other rules, different rules. For example, white plastic ball with metal bearings. Okay, so that there can be sound based tracking, underarm bowling allowed along the ground. And India defeated all the teams throughout the tournament, and India, of course, it beat Nepal by 7 wickets this time. And the player of the final was Phula Sareen, and the captain of Indian cricket team is Deepika Gaunkar. Okay. Very important to note the Paradeep port. Okay, it crossed the 100 million metric tons of cargo throughout the for the 9th consecutive year this time, and it achieved it 12 days earlier than the last year's performance. If we talk about Paradeep port particularly, please note that it is a natural deep water port, and it is of course one of the major ports of India. And it is just 53 kilometers from Jagatsinghpur city in Jagatsinghpur district of Odisha, and it is at the confluence of 2 rivers. It is at the confluence of actually Mahanadi river, not 2 rivers, Mahanadi river and the Bay of Bengal. Very important to note. Okay, it is at the south of Kolkata and the north of Visakhapatnam. Now, Paradeep port was founded in the year 1962 by Jawaharlal Nehru, and then later on it was declared as the 8th major port of India in 1966. Okay, and it is the first major port in the East Coast. That was commissioned after independence. It functions as an autonomous body under the Major Port Trust Act 1963. Now, if we talk about the major ports in India, have a look. These are the major ports in India. Okay, Kolkata, Haldia, then Visakhapatnam, Ennore port, which is also referred to as Kamarajar port. Ennore, Kamarajar port is followed by then what? Chennai port, Tuticorin port, Kochi, then Mangalore, New Mangalore, JNPT, Mumbai, Kandla, you can see. Next topic is bamboo scaffolding. From prelims point of view, just you need to know about what is this particular thing. So context is a major fire in Hong Kong's Tai Po apartment complex. It killed over 65 people, and bamboo scaffolding is suspected to be the reason that has accelerated the spread of the blaze. So what is bamboo scaffolding? It is basically a traditional construction support system which is made up of interlocked bamboo poles, as you can see in this image, tied to nylon or plastic straps. It is basically used as a temporary platform for workers during building repairs and construction. Now bamboo poles are cut, they're dried and tied to a like grid-like frame, and they're anchored to building exteriors, and like they're wrapped with protective mesh. This creates lightweight yet strong scaffolds even for high-rise structures. Basically, it is lightweight, flexible, and surprisingly very strong, cheaper and quicker to assemble, and it is deeply rooted in culture and skill like trade tradition in Hong Kong. But it is highly combustible when dry, and this accelerates the fire spread. The mechanical strength, it also varies naturally across the bamboo poles, and of course faster deterioration compared to metal, because, and this is of course unsuitable for long duration projects, and the mesh covering can ignite easily unless fire retardant. So this is all about bamboo scaffolding. The next topic is tax ramps scheme. So the government of India has approved the tax ramp scheme. The aim is to strengthen research, innovation and data systems in the textiles sector. So what is this particular scheme? Please remember that it is a central sector scheme. The entire funding will be done by the central government, okay, and it is implemented by the Ministry of Textiles. Objective is to future-proof India's textiles and apparel sector through innovation, data systems and capacity building. So it has a number of like components like research and innovation, data analytics and diagnostics, then integrated textile statistical systems and capacity development. So basically, it basically tries to do what? Research and development in smart textiles like geotextiles, etc. Okay, then sustainability, process optimization. Okay, then of course it wants to fund the incubators and the hackathons, various academy industry collaboration, the startups. Okay, there will be like support, best practice sharing, training workshops, etc. And the real-time analytics will be done in this particular sector. Okay, 305 crore outlay has been given because it aligns with the next finance like commission cycle for long-term like continuity of the this particular scheme. And of course, since this would be a fully funded central sector scheme, so there will be of course uniform implementation of this particular scheme across India. Okay, it provides real-time visibility into the sector performance, and it enhances quality, technology adoption and sustainability in textiles of India. Generates innovation. It is of course like for high quality like data, granular data pertaining to particularly the textile sector. It targets the interventions and the better sectoral planning of the entire textile sector of India. So this was all about tax ramps scheme. Next is the NGT or the National Green Tribunal. So it has directed the Central Pollution Control Board, the Kerala State Pollution Control Board, etc. to trace hundreds of missing barrels of banned pesticide, which is endosulfan. It is a banned pesticide. Please note that. Now, NGT, if we talk about it, is a specialized judicial body for speedy disposal of environmental disputes. Okay, and it has expertise in environmental law and practice. It was established in the year 2010, and it is of course it aims to ensure that there is effective environmental protection, there is conservation of natural resources, and it can provide relief and compensation for any sort of environmental damage. So it hears what? It hears civil cases, okay, and that involves substantial environmental questions that comes under the like Schedule 1, okay, pertaining to what? Water, air, forest, biodiversity, etc. Now, what are the things that are not in NGT's jurisdiction? This is very important. Wildlife Protection Act, it is not there. Indian Forest Act, no. Forest Rights Act 2006, no. These are not under the ambit, or these are not under the jurisdiction of NGT. So, appellate role over environmental clearances, pollution controls, etc. They benefit from the various like sharing matter in this particular tribunal. Now, if we talk about the governance structure, so chairperson is what? Retired Supreme Court Judge or High Court Chief Justice appointed by the centre after consultation with the Chief Justice of India. Judicial members, yes, retired judges of the Supreme Court, High Court. Expert members are there who are experts in ecology, pollution control, forestry and related fields. And it has like a lot of powers and functions because provides relief, compensation and restitution for pollution. Okay, it applies the polluter pays. Whoever is polluting, whichever organization, it has to pay for that. Okay, precautionary principle, etc. It is not bound by the Central Pollution Control Board, and it follows a natural justice. Okay, and it basically targets to like dispose case within 6 months, so that there is a reduction of burden in the high courts and the other courts. And it can impose penalties. Yes, this is there in its discretion. It can direct restoration, it can enforce the compliance of its orders, and it can uphold environmental rights. Okay, moving to the next topic, superbugs. Okay, so recently there were like reports that routine infections in India, like the urinary tract infections, the pneumonia, sepsis, diarrhea, these are becoming harder to treat as antibiotics are failing. Antibiotics are failing because of what? Because of superbugs. What are superbugs? Superbug is basically a bacteria or fungus that becomes resistant to multiple antibiotics or antifungals. So whenever you are giving antibiotics or antifungals, still these like bugs are not reacting to them, they are like resistant to them. And of course the infections becomes like extremely hard to treat. For instance, like E. coli, Klebsiella, Acinetobacter, Pseudomonas, these are becoming highly resistant to even like carbapenems. These are the like last line of defense to treat these kind of infections. So why is it happening so? So why are superbugs are forming? Because of the overuse and misuse of antibiotics. So whenever like you take a medicine without any doctor's consultation from the pharmacy, of course you are overusing antibiotics. Even doctors are also prescribing antibiotics without thinking much, so that is another reason for that. Okay, and there is like incomplete or irrational dosing, because in antibiotics you have to take, for example, minimum 5 doses, but you are taking 2 doses, and since the symptoms are subsiding, you are not taking it anymore. So the bugs, or you can say the bacteria, the fungus, whatever is attacking, causing the infection, is not entirely getting killed, and they are getting resistant to that particular antibiotics. In this way, if you use multiple antibiotics, and these superbugs become resistant to most of them. So that is known as what? AMR, antimicrobial resistance, which is a major issue that the world is facing right now. Now hospital exposure to high-end antibiotics is another reason. Okay, and gene transfer between two microbes. So one microbe is highly resistant, and they are transferring the gene to another microbe, and that is causing AMR or antimicrobial resistance, and also giving rise to what? Super bugs. Okay, so if we talk about the various superbugs, as mentioned earlier, bacterial, E. coli, these are the things. Fungal or Candida auris, these are like resistant Aspergillus fumigatus. Now, what are the symptoms? Vary by organ, but they can include like fevers, chills, okay, painful lesions, respiratory distress, etc. Treatment failure, even when we are like being given like strong antibiotics, high mortality in ICU, okay, longer hospitalization and isolation requirements, many major economic burden on the healthcare system, and of course risk of a return of a pre-antibiotic era, where like before the arrival of the antibiotics, people died a lot because there were no antibiotics, and because of small infections also people died. Now if you are becoming like resistant to antibiotics and there is no treatment for that particular disease, what will happen? We'll go back to the pre-antibiotic era. So of course we need urgent national antibiotic stewardship. Okay, SDG health goals are getting jeopardized because of the AMR. So of course we need new antimicrobials, and of course we need to regulate the antibiotic sales in India and across the world. International Monetary Fund, okay, its latest Article 4 review, it gave India's national accounting status, and it gave a grade of C due to India's methodological weaknesses. So India's CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, it received a grade of B, okay, and C grade was given to this thing. So what are the reasons? Because we have been using the base year 2011-2012, okay, 2011-2012 in these various indicators. So GDP, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, they do not reflect the modern consumption and production structure. So if we talk about inflation and everything, is miscalculated. So this is one reason. Then we don't have a full PPI, that is Producer Price Index, and we are using WPI, Wholesale Price Index, and they are used as deflators. So this weakens what? The real estimation of the GDP. Okay. Then there are recurring discrepancies against under coverage of expenditure data and informal sector activity, of course. So this gap between production and expenditure, and the quarterly GDP, it lacks the like seasonal adjustment. This affects growth interpretation. Everything is wrong about apparently our like system, and that is why we have been given so poor marks. Now India's national account statistics, if we talk about, okay, this particular organization, it provides the GDA, GVA, consumption, savings, investment, etc. related things. We basically use the income approach, and then expenditure approach is a supplementary one. So you have read all about this in economics. That is not important. The most important part was, and of course you need to know about IMF. We have discussed about IMF in multiple like sessions, so please go through it once more. Next topic is auramine O. Okay, so what is auramine O? Basically it is a banned industrial yellow dye, but this has been detected in food products during food safety inspections and academic studies. So question from prelims point of view, what is it? It is basically a synthetic diaryl methane yellow dye. It is used in industrial and microbiological applications, not permitted as food color. Okay, appeared as per Indian regulations, and it appears what? Bright yellow needle like crystals. It is not soluble in water, and it is soluble in ethanol and DMSO. DMSO is dimethyl sulfoxide. It is basically a polar like organic solvent, okay, and it is derived from what? Wood pulp in the production of paper. If we talk about the applications of auramine O, it is used in textile industries, leather, printing industries, okay, because it is used as an industrial colorant, mainly because of its bright hue and low cost. Microbiological staining also, because it stains the like acid fast bacteria very well. Then it is used as a laboratory reagent, and a paper and ink manufacturing also is another thing where it is used. So this is all about auramine O. Please note that auramine O is illegally added to imitate the turmeric, saffron or enhanced sweets, and available in like through unregulated chemical markets. Vendors were not aware of the regulations, they use it, okay, and implications are very high because high toxicity, carcinogenic potential, and chronic because of chronic exposure it can lead to genetic and metabolic disorders, and regulatory challenges also there because there is limited lab capacity in India to detect it, and there is uneven enforcement as well. Cyclone Ditwa and Senyar was in news. All you need to know about these cyclones are what? Like where they formed. The cyclone Ditwa, it formed in southwestern Bay of Bengal and moving towards Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Puducherry, and Senyar formed near the Strait of Malacca. Very important to know, and it caused heavy rain on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and southern India. Okay, Ditwa is a tropical cyclone storm. Okay, and this name Ditwa was given by Yemen. Okay. Southwest Bengal, Bay of Bengal, Southeast India was affected. Senyar, the name was given by UAE, originated as a low pressure near Malacca, Strait of Malacca, and it strengthened as a depression and cyclone. Okay, weakened over the Strait of Malacca, and then it caused ongoing rain in South India. Tejas was in news because it crashed during the Dubai Air Show. Here you need to know about Tejas, that it is an indigenous, that is made in India, 4.5 generation all-weather multi-role light combat aircraft. Okay, developed by the Aeronautical Development Agency, and it was produced by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. First flight was in 2001, formally inducted into the Indian Air Force in 2016. Very important to note that it has like initial production variant was different, and now like there are like different variants now. It is a lightest in its class, and it has composite materials for high agility. Okay, radar system is there. Okay, digital flight control system is there, etc. And it can function air to air, air to ground. Okay, it can launch BBR missiles. It has like precision bombs, maritime strike, etc. And in-flight refueling capability is also there. Okay, single seater. It has also twin seater trainer, and it is a major milestone in India's indigenous aerospace sector. It provides a cost-effective, agile replacement for a MiG-21, and of course, many countries from Asia and Africa, they're interested in LCA Tejas. But recently, the unfortunate like crash of Tejas, it has of course like it had an impact on our exports also. So this was all about LCA Tejas, that is light combat aircraft Tejas. Arunachal Pradesh was in news as always because again India has reaffirmed that Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of India. It is an inalienable part of India after China questioned its status. Now Arunachal Pradesh, the land of rising sun, first to receive the sun rays in India. Status, of course, full-fledged state of India since 20th February 1987, and it is the largest state in the northeast India, and borders, of course, Bhutan, China, Myanmar, and if you talk about the domestic borders, Assam and Nagaland. Okay, it was the Treaty of Yondabu that was signed in the year 1826, and this brought Assam in under British control. The frontier hills, they gradually started getting administered, and then there was the NIFA, that is the Northeast Frontier Agency. This was formed in the Northeast Frontier Tracts. Then there were in 1914 there was Shimla Convention. This delineated the McMahon line. This was between Tibet and the Northeast Frontier Agency. This was recognized by Tibet and Britain. Okay. Next is post-independence, there were a number of changes. For instance, the NIFA administered under the governor of Assam. It was divided into Kameng, Subansiri, Siang, Lohit and Tirap districts. And then in 1972, very important to note, it became Union Territory of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Then in 1987, this was granted what? Statehood under the Arunachal Pradesh Act of 1986. And then, of course, the elections started happening. If we talk about the geography, it is a part of the Eastern Himalayas, and it is mostly mountainous, and from low foothills to river valleys, like it has like high altitudinal range. Climate variation is also there. Forest dense, tropical and temperate forests across altitudinal zones. Next is hammer precision weapon system. So recently what happened is there was a treaty, a signature to manufacture the hammer precision guided air to ground weapon system in India. So what is hammer in the first place? Is highly agile modular munition extended range. It is basically an air to ground smart weapon which is designed for high accuracy strikes from stand-off ranges. It is like it was developed by France, and now it is moving to joint manufacture with India. Now of course the aim is to equip Indian Air Force and Navy with combat, like provide precision weapons. Okay, it has like a lot of things, for example GPS, then laser guided options are there. It has a range of 70 kilometers, and so this allows aircraft to strike without entering enemy airspace. Okay, it is also optimized for mountainous terrain, for example the Ladakh region, and it is already like compatible with Rafale, and it is integrated with Tejas also. So indigenization, so it, of course if there is 60% localization and production of it in India, so definitely it is going to give a boost to India's defense Atmanirbharta. Fujiwara effect was in news. Okay, because two potential cyclonic storms in Bay of Bengal, it may interact via the Fujiwara effect. What is Fujiwara effect? It is a meteorological phenomenon where two nearby cyclones, they rotate around a common center. So this is the common center, and this is cyclone 1, cyclone 2. They rotate around the common center. Why this happens? Due to interaction of their wind circulations. Okay. It was first identified in the year 1921 by Sakuhei Fujihara. Mostly it happens when storms are around 1400 kilometers of each other, within the range of 1400 kilometers. So it is a distance. So if two cyclones are very close enough, then only this happens. Okay, and of course there are similar rotation direction. Okay, counterclockwise in northern hemisphere, of course. Temperatures above 26 degrees centigrade, this is required for this, and overlapping rain bands, of course, these are the like wind interaction patterns that happens. Cyclones rotate around a shared pivot point. Okay. Now, very important to note that the weaker storm, it may revolve around or absorbed by the stronger storm, and limited interaction, it happens, may cause the storms to diverge on different directions or weaken. Okay, so cyclones circle around a common center, and this alters the trajectories, and the stronger cyclone, it absorbs the weaker one. Okay, we cannot like track it properly where there will be a landfall, etc. So the path becomes challenging, and after they merge, the cyclone becomes very, very intense in nature. All right. Next is Heli Gubbi volcano. Okay, the only thing that is important is where is it. So it is basically a shield volcano in the upper region of Ethiopia. and it is a part of the East African Rift system. This is all that can be asked in UPSC prelims. So this particular volcano basically erupted after 10,000 years, and that is why it is very important. Next is you need to know about shield volcano, okay, that it is broad, low gradient basaltic lava flows, okay. Then other major African volcanoes you need to remember. These are the things that you need to study from prelims point of view. The next topic is exercise Surya Kiran, because India and Nepal recently conducted the 19th edition of the exercise Surya Kiran, okay, in Pithaudgarh, Uttarakhand. So you just need to know about this particular exercise. It is an annual, okay, happens every year, bilateral battalion level military exercise between Indian Army and Nepal Army, not the Air Force, not the Navy, but Army. This you need to remember. Alternates location annually between India and Nepal, of course, and aims to enhance the synergy in mountain warfare, jungle operations and counter terrorism. Next topic is Ningalu Reef. So nearly 70% of the corals at this particular UNESCO listed Ningalu Reef, it has died due to Australia's most intense and prolonged marine heat waves. A very bad news. All you need to know is where is and what is Ningalu Reef, because it is Australia's largest fringing coral reef. We have studied the different types of coral reefs in previous sessions. UNESCO World Heritage Site 2011, and it is notable for marine biodiversity, whale shark aggregations and intact coral systems, ecosystems. It is in the northwest coast of Western Australia, okay, and the coral growth it took over like years, millions of years on shallow continental shelf, and it is of course supported by the tectonic uplift of the Cape Range. Very important to note, tectonic uplift of the Cape Range. Alright, and like the traditional lands of like Bayungu, then Gudiru, these are the people like who stay in this region. So marine heat waves, of course, because rising sea temperatures, because 2023 heat waves, it lasted for like 4 more times, longer times than average. Then the ecological degradation is there because of sponge algae loss of like reef structural stability, low oxygen in 2022. All these caused what? Like the coral cover to decline, okay. Next is Afar region. So the scientists predict that Africa's Afar region, it could evolve into Earth's next ocean basin, and this is due to the ongoing tectonic shifts and the activities that are going on. The important thing over here is the location of the Afar region. So northeastern Ethiopia, where the Red Sea meets the Gulf of Aden, as you can see in this map, okay. And in the northern part there is like Danakil depression, which is a desert scrubland and shallow saline lakes, long volcanic chains. And in the southern part, of course, the like river valley. Tectonic significance is high because it is located at a triple junction of Red Sea Rift, Gulf of Aden Rift and East African Rift, okay, that comes down, okay. And these are the three things converge here. So it is one of the rare places to study the continental breakdown and ocean genesis in real time, okay. Now deep rift valleys, volcanic plateaus, extensive fissures, these are there. It hosts extinct and active volcanoes as well. And it is also famous for what? The early hominid fossil. Example, the Lucy, which was like the Australopithecus afarensis, which was detected in 1974, discovered in, which is crucial for studying human evolution in and prehistoric ecosystems. Next topic is the Pazahaya River, okay, important in news because rampant discharge of sewage and untreated water in the river, it has raised concerns in the Nagarcoil region. So where is it? It is in the Kanyakumari district of Tamil Nadu. Location is important, origin is important, Mahendragiri Hills, and it flows into and joins the Arabian Sea near Manakudi. Very important to note. What are the major tributaries? This you need to remember, okay, you read it. Alathurayar, Pugayar, Thavadayar, Okoa, because this one is in news and that is why it is important. Name of some of the dams constructed over this river is also there. And of course, the Manakudi estuary, it is an ecologically sensitive region and it is rich in mangroves. It is rich in birds and marine life and it is situated here only. Pazahayar River. Information Security Education and Awareness Project, okay, launched by the Cyber Security Innovation Challenge and under the project, this particular ISEA project only by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Very important to note that its purpose is to develop human resources in information security, cyber hygiene, cyber security awareness among citizens and ensure that there is a safe, trusted and secure cyber space, okay. So these are the things that are important for this particular topic. of course, there are some focus domains as well. Now, students or researchers are the target participants because they will participate from various organizations. Multiple organizations are there, like the IITs, NITs, CDAC, NILIT, etc. Now, what are the focus domains of this thing? Computer and network security, mobile data device security system, software, hardware, futuristic technology, cryptography, cyber security, fintech, etc. So yeah, they can give you a number of options and say which are the like focus domains of this particular thing. So of course, this will promote what? Indigenous research driven cyber security solutions, skilled workforce in cyber security, national cyber resilience. Okay. Next is Asian and Pacific Center for Development and Disaster Information Management. So 10th session it happened in New Delhi. Okay. So on inclusive disaster risk data governance. Basically, what is it? It is a type of like regional institution under the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, SCAP. Very important to note. This is under SCAP, and its vision is to what? Reduce disaster risk and using what? Effective information, disaster risk information, and this is used for what? Sustainable development in South Asia Pacific. So reduce human and material losses because of natural hazards, and for that we need to support, design, invest, implementation of DRR and resilience policies. The headquarters, very important, it is that APDIM has its headquarters at Tehran, Iran. And of course, governing council consists of the 8 SCAP member countries and who are elected for 3-year terms. India's membership is from 2022 to 2025. Mekadittu Dam project was in news because the Karnataka government plans to submit a revised like DPR for the Mekadittu balancing reservoirs. It is across the Kaveri river. Very important that this dam is important for drinking as well as hydroelectricity. It is near the Kanakpura Ramnagar district of Karnataka. Okay, and just like 4 kilometers upstream of the Tamil Nadu border. And Kaveri river and its tributary Arkavati. Just at the confluence of this thing is the Mekadittu Dam, and it is a concrete gravity dam. In our session, we have discussed the various types of dams. Reservoir capacity, drinking water import. The issue is Tamil Nadu. It is a lower riparian state, so it opposes the project because it fears that there will be disruption of the free-flowing Kaveri river, and it argues that Mekadittu is the last free-flow point in Karnataka, and the project may block the downstream water flow. The same thing that happens in the various interwater river water disputes. Okay, moving to the next topic, scheme to promote manufacturing of sintered rare earth permanent magnets. So Union Cabinet has approved this with 2,080 crore financial support. So the aim is to establish 6,000 metric tons per annum of integrated rare earth permanent magnet manufacturing in India. So it will be a end-to-end thing because we'll be discovering and excavating the rare earth oxides, then we'll convert this into metals, alloys, and then finished magnets. Okay, so this is quite significant because this is India's first integrated REPA manufacturing facilities, and this will enhance strategic autonomy as well. Now we won't need to depend for rare earth permanent magnets and other things on countries like China and other countries. So for our electric vehicles, renewable energy capacity, electronics, aerospace and defense, we can be Atmanirbhar. Next is the International Astronomical Union. So 3.5 billion-year-old Martian crater, okay, a crater in the planet Mars. This has been renamed after Indian geologist M.S. Krishnan, and it has been approved by the IAU. Now, what is IAU? It is important. 1919 it was formed. The headquarters are in Paris and France, and basically it tries to promote and safeguard the astronomy globally through research, education, communication, etc. Okay, so it is composed of professional astronomers from various countries, total 92 countries. So what it does, it defines various astronomical constants, okay, then approves names of astronomical bodies, international observation campaigns, then new discoveries are disseminated across the world rapidly. And of course, a general assembly is held every 3 years to define the long-term policies. Finally, the last topic is booth level officer. So there have been concerns over the recent deaths of the several booth level officers because they're conducting the SIR activity, the special intensive revision of electoral rolls. So who are BLO? Very important, grassroots representatives of the Election Commission of India. They are assisting in the electoral roll updates, and they are the local government, the semi-government officials like who are familiar with electors in the polar area, they are responsible for their appointment. Now, who are the common BLOs in various regions? As if SIR is happening in your state, then you must be knowing that teachers, Anganwadi workers, panchayat secretaries, village level workers, electricity bill readers, etc. So these are the common BLOs, and BLOs are not full-time electoral officers; they are just like part-time, and they are introduced under the Section 13B 2 of the Representation of People Act 1950, first appointed in August 2006. Very important legal provision of the BLO. And of course, their responsibility is electoral roll maintenance. So they ensure that there is accuracy and fidelity of rolls at polling booth level. There is field verification, because so that they can collect actual field data regarding eligible voters. Okay, then voter slip distribution to various households before poll day, then post ballot facilitation. Okay, home post ballot system, if it is there, if it is like applicable somewhere, then they, for the physically disabled, etc., then going there and getting it conducted. They also encourage use of apps like voter helpline, e-vigil, know your candidate, Saksham ECI, etc., to facilitate voter and maintain updated rules. So that is all the responsibilities. These are the responsibilities of BLO. With this, we come to an end of this session. Thank you for staying with us.